Hey there, it's Yogi Bear. You may recall Yogi Bear as one of the first animated TV icons next to Huckleberry Hound and the Flintstones. In fact, you may remember him more as one of the most recognizable characters made by Hanna-Barbera. I remember watching some episodes of the original series of the 1960s, and I can recall enjoying them. Maybe not the most memorable show by the studio, but it did have that simplistic charm that present them as nothing more than just fun cartoons, and the characters are quite likable. An interesting fact about Yogi is that he actually did put his mark in animation history. I'm sure he did in many ways, but for the sake of this review, the most notable one was that in 1964, Yogi released the first ever animated feature based on a TV series. So when Yogi was the first animated character to make the jump from the small to the big screen, will he deliver something more delicious than what you would find in a picnic basket? Or will it end up as bad as the 2010 movie? Let's find out. The story. If I would explain the story, it wouldn't sound like much. It's more one of those tales that you'll have to see to get what it's all about. In the movie, there was this entire mix-up where some characters believe that Yogi has gone to the San Diego Zoo, when in actuality, he's still hiding in Jellystone Park. After Cindy got herself in a train that was heading in the wrong direction, it's up to Yogi and Boo Boo to go across the country to find her and go back to Jellystone. From the sound of it, it would seem like it would be your typical road trip rescue story, complete with all its cliches and predictabilities. And for the most part, yeah, it is. To be fair though, Yogi Bear has always been a rather simple cartoon, so there wasn't a lot of material to work with in the first place. But then again, while it does carry some cons, it does manage to work for what it's trying to be. Keep in mind, it's not just a movie, it's a Yogi Bear movie. If anything, it remains true to the spirit of the original series while elevating the events higher to mark the movie as a special occasion rather than to be just a 90-minute episode of the show. When it comes to the comedy, a lot of it stays true with the series, mostly based on Yogi's loony ideas to achieve his goals, rather they be getting some food or getting out of a sticky situation.
Shish-kaboo, Baba. Shish-kebab, boo-boo.
I wouldn't say that this is a hilarious movie, but it did manage to get some nice chuckles happening. In a way, it's like in the middle, where the jokes are not laugh-out-loud funny, but it definitely has better wit than this bear. If I have to point out the best thing to come out of the plot, it's that while the outcome may be predictable, the journey itself actually has a lot of surprises. Whenever you think it's over and everybody can just go back to Jellystone Park, the bears would end up finding themselves in another situation, giving them a new obstacle to hurdle. This does help with engaging its audience, since it gives that feeling that this simple movie would give more than anyone would ever expect. Yeah, it's a simple story, but the writing is smarter than the average script. The animation. Before I talk about the animation, allow me to give you a little history lesson. As you may know, this was released in 1964. During that time, it was marked as the end of the golden age of animation, where the days of theatrically released cartoons were over. Also, Warner Brothers decided to shut down their cartoon department, and many of their employees would move on to other animation jobs. Among them were Looney Tunes director Friz Freleng, writer Warren Foster, and animators like Ken Harris, who all decided to move to Hanna-Barbera and pitch in to help make Hey There, It's Yogi Bear. Why did I talk about this? Because that would explain why the quality of the animation looks so much better than it did on television. It remains true to how the show looks, with the character design still having that Hanna-Barbera cartoony style, but when you look at their animation and how they move, you'll find that it's a lot more smooth and works hard to get rid of any moments where it seems like they would look static. It also helps that the animators would include choreography in the musical numbers to really bring out their craft to life. Another massive upgrade it got is in the backgrounds. In the original series, the budget can only have them do something that's more quickly made and abstract without a lot of thought into it. Here, however, it really shows that the crew brought in some highly talented artists to craft a forest as if it was made for a painting. You would never find Yogi in an environment where the trees and the mountains are this detailed. It is true though that, even for its time, it's not some of the best animation you'd find that would push the medium to the next level like Disney would do. But I guess the wow factor comes from how the visuals made the jump from TV to theaters, and as a Hanna-Barbera show, that is definitely quite an accomplishment. The characters. By taking a simple cartoon and put it to the big screen, I'll give it credit that it did find some ways to be creative as a movie for the story. When adapting the characters, however, it didn't really get that much luck. For the most part, there are only 4 main characters: Yogi, Boo Boo, Cindy, and Ranger Smith. Everyone else would seem like an important side character, but they end up only having 1 or 2 scenes and that's it. Rather they be the St. Louis Bears on the train, the sheriff, or the Chiseling brothers and Muttley. Okay, I know technically the dog's name is Mugger here, but come on, it's obviously Muttley.
Shut up when I'm talking.
If I have to pick out the best of the crew, I would have to say that it's Cindy, since her motives are understandable because she loves Yogi and would go to 4 lengths to be with him, including getting deported to go on a train that she believes would get her to San Diego with her loved one. Boo Boo and Ranger Smith stay true to who they are in the show, but that would be all they would deliver for the film. Like how Boo Boo is the timid and loyal friend to Yogi, and Smith is the strict ranger who makes sure to put the bear in line and not to ruin people's time at Jellystone Park. And then you have the main character himself, Yogi Bear. He is the same smart aleck bear as he is in the series, but the biggest problem with him is that his actions are not often explained well. Sure, we know he steals food and picnic baskets because he's hungry and that's who he is, but some of his plans would need a lot more explaining. Like when he sneaked his way out of going to San Diego, why didn't he tell Boo Boo that he's hiding deep in the woods? Or why is it that he suddenly realized that he loves Cindy? Last time, he was trying to get away from her, and now he can't stop thinking of her? Seriously, explain yourself, dude! There are many elements that got a quality boost when going into the movie. The characters are not one of them. The songs. It's really tough to determine how this movie is as a musical. The issue is not necessarily the songs themselves, but more how the movie organized them. Here's the thing. The songs themselves are actually great, and have a bit of that timeless feel that share a similar tone to Disney's music from the 1960s. They're meant to emphasize more of having a good time when hearing it, and execute some positive vibes. They can either have a childlike wonder like Ash Can Parade, utilizing a quartet for St. Louis, or even bringing out a positive outlook on life with Whistle Your Way Back Home.
So give me a day like today for a big parade. Let's have a parade that we can call our own.
I wanna go Saint. Loo-hoo, we wanna go Saint. Loo-hoo, we wanna hear that train. Loo-hoo, we do read Saint Louis Mo. Oh, what a wonderful feeling to be fancy free and roll.
Oh, but what fun to wet your whistle and whistle your way.
There are also a couple of romance songs that both a guy and a girl could sing to woo their significant other. There's a number for Cindy with Like I Like You, and another for Yogi with ven-e, ven-o, ven-a.
With every cock-a-doodle, some hen goes off her noodle. Like I like you to go for you.
This very simple thing I've learned to say.
But here's the problem as a musical. Those songs I've mentioned, that's it. Some of them are spread way too far between each other that there are times when it's easy to forget that this is a musical in the first place. It would have been fine if there were a couple more songs added sung by characters other than the Bears to make them more memorable, but with the format that it lays, it's almost hard to determine to even consider it as a musical in the first place. Ah well, on the bright side though, at least the songs do their job well and can build themselves as the highlights of the feature. For the first animated feature based on a TV show, it actually ended up becoming quite well. Hey There, It's Yogi Bear is an enjoyable film that gives you all of what you love from the original series, along with some surprises, including some nice writing that did a good job on the story, surprisingly well-polished animation, and some great songs to remember it by. Sure, it got some issues of its own, like how it's mostly simplistic in its core, and that the characters aren't really meant for the big screen, but it shouldn't really damage the movie so that it can remain at least harmless. If you're a fan of Yogi Bear or any of Hanna-Barbera's works during the early 60s, then this is definitely worth watching. Does it offer a lot as a movie? Not really, but like I said before, neither does Yogi Bear either. It gives you exactly what you'd expect, a 90-minute presentation of how he is smarter than the average bear. Hey guys, this is AniMat, and I just gotta say, the more that I think about not necessarily the movie itself, but the innovation that it did as the first ever movie to be based on an animated series, the more that I actually do have appreciation for Hey There, It's Yogi Bear. Because, keep in mind, of course, it does make a lot of sense that the first people to actually go and do that would actually be the same people who would make animation a resourceful medium for television, Hanna-Barbera. So, ever since the creation of Hey There, It's Yogi Bear, of course, Hanna-Barbera would go on to create a few more movies based on some of their big properties like the Flintstones and the Jetsons and stuff like that. But later on down the road, there would actually be a lot of fantastic movies that actually do come from a TV show. It's not like years after and it would be created by other people, they would go and revive the whole series. It would be like the series would still be there, but as an added bonus, the people who made that series would go and bloom it even bigger with a movie that would have even a higher quality than what it was presented on television. And ever since then, we got a lot of great examples and a lot of fantastic animated features. Some that I could think on top of my head include the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Rugrats in Paris is one that I feel like it's honestly really surprising the fact that it would turn out to be as good as it actually is. Other ones, of course, well, the Simpsons movie, and then you get some like South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, that many people would actually go out and say that it's one of the greatest animated features of all time. No joke, the amount of praise that that movie would get, like South Park, it's actually quite astounding. And it all came from Hey There, It's Yogi Bear that started this idea that TV shows can do that they could actually make the leap from the small screen to the big screen. And honestly, it really works, and I know for a fact that for fans, they always have a blast doing so. Even as a kid, when I would watch shows like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!, like, it's always a blast to see them appear on the big screen. It really is fun. Now, the story of having them jump onto the big screen as live action and stuff like that, yeah, that's a concept that doesn't necessarily work as well. But anyways, now that we are finished off with Hey There, It's Yogi Bear, it is now time that we go and move on to a Patreon request. Yes, we got another one of those, and this time it's going to be from Klaus Feurendel. And I just want to say right now that if you guys would like to be like Klaus and you want to go and support my work and get some awesome rewards at the same time, including, but not limited to, getting an advanced screening to my videos to go see it before anyone else, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. But at the same time, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would put onto the animation hat, then all you have to do is write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. Okay, so with that said, you might be wondering, what is it that good old Klaus suggests me to go and review? Well, the thing is that I'm not sure if this is really something that really should be looked into, because the thing is, I get so many requests about this thing, and that they always love it, saying that, oh, come on, it's really fun, it's such a magical place. But let me tell you guys, looks are definitely deceiving. And plus the fact that if you can't really see that, just like how it seems like the other people in those world can't, yeah, then you deserve to get trapped in there.
I'm ruined from coast to coast.